Stack mode is a really powerful feature that allows you to layer or split multiple parts, assign each to a specific velocity range or crossfade through them using a MIDI CC, all while they respond to a single MIDI channel. Stack mode works with complete patches, so it takes a powerful computer to get the most out of it. That's why it's important to mute patch effects and share effects on aux racks to optimize performance when creating stack mode multis. Since stack mode involves the use of multiple parts, it can be found under Multi and then Stack. There are 3 settings that allow the mapping of the parts in different ways: notes, velocity, and MIDI CCs. The way to add and remove parts and to set their range and fades is the same in the 3 settings. So let's begin with notes. When set to notes, the horizontal axis represents the keyboard range, and in all 3 settings, the vertical axis is where the parts are added. I'm going to turn on stack mode, and when stack mode is enabled, you'll see this display in the header, which can be seen from any page on the plugin. By right-clicking on any of these rows, a menu comes up listing every part followed by the name of the patch currently loaded on it. I'll select Add Part 1, and since I right-clicked on the first row, Part 1 is added to it. If I right-click on this row and select Add Part 1 is moved to it. To remove a part, I can simply right-click on it and select Remove this part. Okay, let's go to the first row, and we'll right-click and select Add Part 1. From this menu, I can select to display the name of the patch, the part number, or both. From this menu, I can select which MIDI channel stack mode will respond to. Since stack mode is set to notes, the length of this region indicates the keyboard range for this part. By clicking and dragging the lower edges, that range can be adjusted. Now I'm going to right-click on the second row to add part 2 and create a basic split. I'll set the range of the second part at about here, and that's it. Simple. Right now I have a bass in my left hand and a pad in my right hand. And this keyboard display will provide feedback of what's played on your MIDI controller. Okay, let's say I want to create a positional crossfade between parts 1 and 2. I'll extend the range of this part, and by dragging the upper edge of a region, a fade can be created. I'll do the same for part 1, and that's it. This is a really fast and easy way to do this, but it can be done in different ways. I can right-click on the row where part 1 is and select Add Part 2, and when both parts are in the same row, I can resize the crossfade, move it around, and even get rid of it. To create a new one, I can create a fade here, and then extend the range of this region to the right. Now I'm going to place it over here, and make it a little bigger, and let's hear what this sounds like. Keep in mind that when you're playing in an area that has a crossfade, both parts are triggered simultaneously, which might have an impact on your CPU. Now I'd like to add part 3, which has an arpeggiated bell patch loaded in this row. I'll right-click on it and select Add Part 3, and I'm going to set the range of this region at about here, so it's layered with the high register of part 2. It's really simple. Let's try playing something. Because when you're using stack mode, all parts respond to the same MIDI channel, I could have recorded this performance in a single MIDI track in the host. Now let's see stack mode respond to velocity. I've loaded a multi with patches loaded in the first 3 parts. When stack mode is set to velocity, you'll notice that the keyboard display is not present here. Instead, the horizontal axis represents velocity values. This allows velocity switching and crossfading of entire patches. And velocity crossfading regions take more CPU because they're firing simultaneously. When you play something, these bars show up indicating the velocity values of what you played. In this multi, if I play really soft, no matter in which part of the keyboard, only part 1 will be triggered. Starting at 61, parts 1 and 2 will crossfade, and from about this velocity until 126, only part 2 will be triggered. Part 3 will only be triggered when I play at 127. Keep in mind that the velocity curve programmed in a patch will affect how stack mode works when set to respond to velocity. Now I'm going to load a different multi and go over how stack mode works when responding to MIDI CCs. This setting allows you to use a continuous controller to sweep through parts. The controller number you want to use can be selected from this menu. Now the horizontal axis represents the CC value, which will be displayed in this area as soon as a note is played. In this case, I selected the mod wheel, so with these settings, the mod wheel will allow me to crossfade between the parts. Note that all the patches are firing simultaneously, so although this is really powerful musically, be aware that it can use a huge amount of CPU power. As with many other sections in Omnisphere, Stack Mode has its own presets, which can be accessed from this drop-down menu. The difference with a multi is that a multi stores patches, mixer settings, and the Stack Mode mapping information. The Stack Mode presets store mapping information only. Stack Mode is a powerful and flexible feature that can be used on stage as well as in the studio, so make sure you spend some time exploring it.